So today we're going to be talking about a topic that I personally am a big fan of, but not in the way that most people think. We're streaming live right now, and I want to bring to attention, where is it at? Chronic just asked me, is it worth it to E1S1 Topaz for follow-up teams? And so I'm going to answer this question. Chronic, the short answer is absolutely 100%. But that's going to lead, and the reason I started the video off this way is because that's going to lead into the comment section or other people telling you Eidolons are not worth it and signature light cones are not worth it. And I think, which is kind of usual for me, I think that is some of the dumbest advice that people have somehow spread across the Star Rail community in over a year. That's just dumb. But Chad is here to help me not feel like I'm attacking y'all. So if I'm saying something that is out of pocket, it sounds like an attack, just spam I don't know, bro. Spam tits. Spam something in the chat that'll catch my attention, bro. Because I don't want to attack anybody today. All right, or tonight. It's nighttime. But alas, we're gonna move into this. Chronic, answering your question over E1S1, and let me actually go ahead and open the game, and then we'll let me before we do that, let me open the game. That way I can show you exactly what I'm talking about. I cracked myself up, baby. Yo, where's my game? Yo, game? Game? Bam. There we go. All right. So, Chronic, to answer your question, right? Answering your question about E1S1. For me personally, I believe at a minimum, right? E0S1 Topaz is the way to go. This also goes into how I feel about a lot of characters in the roster. Now, Topaz's kit at a base value, awesome. This is a character that I always compare it to Kafka when it comes to like the follow-up attacking stuff, but Kafka is obviously being the DOT, the damage over time. And so they are the foundation, if you will, of that particular set or team archetype, yeah? Now, in Topaz's case, you could run certain characters without Topaz. Those characters being like what? Clara, Blade, all of my follow-up attackers, right? Blade has a follow-up attack. Clara has a follow-up attack. Where is my boy here? Ratio. I'm blind. Ratio, right next to Topaz. Ratio has a follow-up attack, yeah? So you have these characters that have follow-up attacks that don't inherently do or gain more or less with Topaz. And that's a stretch. I'll explain that in a little bit. But ultimately, you could run Ratio, no Topaz. You could run Clara, no Topaz. You could definitely run Blade, no Topaz. You could run Kafka, no Topaz. Things like that. But in Topaz's case, with her kit, everything's revolved around follow-up attacks. This particular character is one of those characters where if you vertically invest into this character, right? You hyper invest. I don't want to use the word hyper invest. If you invest into this character properly, you are rewarded with things that other characters in the game cannot give you, at least from one character, right? Now, if I'm looking at this from, where is it at? The damage, right? Increasing the damage it takes from follow-up attacks when they have the proof of death status, like a debuff, essentially, or a vulnerability on the enemy. And then Numby's also doing damage on top of her basic attack, doing its own damage, things like that. Some characters could do this, yeah? You would think like your Nihility character. So Pela could apply a defense reduction on the enemy, and then that would significantly help you in situations across the board. This is valid. That's always a valid thing or a valid discussion that we have. Now you get into her ultimate. Her ultimate is going to add more crit damage. It's going to increase the damage multiplier. It does some cool things, yeah? And just the way that the character functions, it turns it so that all attacks count towards this follow-up attacking thing, or Numby in this case, so that when you use Numby, where the fuck is Numby? Let's go with skill. Numby happens every 2 follow-up attacks. Numby gets to go again, yeah? Cool. Now, ultimate makes that so everything counts as a follow-up attack. So it kind of balances itself out, but you're not always going to have ultimate, because ultimate's like, what, 140 cost? Chat, correct me if I'm wrong. Something like that. About 140 cost. So now we go into how do I manipulate and strengthen Topaz, yeah? So I'm going for my relics. Now you have the 4-piece follow-up set. You have inert. All of these things are helping your Topaz become stronger at a very base level. Yeah, you have the gear, essentially. How do I make this better? Now, you run the light cone. This is naturally increasing her crit rate and her follow-up attacking damage by 30%. That's huge for her own personal damage. Love to see it. Then, after she uses the follow-up attack, she now applies the Tame state. Tame is going to increase the crit damage that this particular enemy receives by 12%, stacks for 2 times. That's a free 24% crit damage on top of where we at? Right here. Boom. The crit damage here from 23%. Yeah. So on top of all of this, you're increasing that. And I think that actually goes to 25%. Yeah. If I 10 this, that's 25%. I might actually 10 Topaz. I'm real positive that I'm going to do it now that I think about that out loud. So that's going to turn into basically 50%, right? Like you can shave off 2%. Not a big deal. E0S1 is a complete package of Topaz. You don't need E1 in order to make this character better, right? To do what she wants to do to enable the team. Why do I say this for a character like Topaz when the argument could be had once again? If I ran Ratio, yeah, where is my boy? If I ran Ratio and then I put him on a team with Pela and Bronya or Sparkle, would this team significantly perform better with that pairing or that team than Topaz? And so you could look at it that way and say like, yeah, probably. And then that comes down to the builds, what characters are being used, because I'm not going to compare Topaz to Powerpuff Girls. You put Ratio on a team with Sparkle, Ting Yun, and fucking May. I'm not going to say that Topaz is going to eclipse them and she's significantly better than all 3 of those characters. No, because you're combining them. Would Topaz help if you had Topaz and Ratio on a team with Robin, with May? 166%. Now, if you don't have her light cone, this is where most of your Topaz complaining, or rather the lack of Topaz value, comes into play. Let's say I gave Topaz this. I lose out on the proof of, or the tame state, right? That's a whole different debuff. I lost it. No more tame state. And I lose out on the extra crit damage, not only for herself, but for the team, anyone that's doing that follow-up attacking damage to the enemy. And I lose out on the free crit rate. You lose a lot by not having her signature light cone, which you would think, why would I do that? Why would I pull a sig light cone for a character? Like, why do they need that? Personally, you guys know me. I'm the signature light cone advocate for like a lot of shit, right? The light cone connoisseur, if you will. I'm gonna tell you to get signature light cones for almost every single character in the game. If I tell you, I lie. 2 teams. Your main DPS characters should always have their signature light cones. If that sig light cone is so damn good that it basically gives the character free stats, you should absolutely try and go for the signature light cone. I know most and majority of the gacha game space will not do that. You guys love pulling characters. So I've already come to terms with this. I can't argue it. I just can't. I understand y'all like pulling characters. Everybody wants 90 characters that you can't build. It's cool. If you invest into the game the proper way, you don't have, and I prove this with my comment section all the time. There's a clique of commenters who will always complain about what I'm saying to invest into the account. Then there are the people who do it and they don't have these same complaints. Like the people that invest into the game, they've built up 2 teams. Now they're probably working on a 3rd. They have the character 10, 9, 8, whatever the case may be, sig light cone, good gear. They're not complaining. They're not out here saying they can't beat MOC 12 or they're struggling to do whatever because they took the time to invest into the account. And that's totally fine, right? I'm not trying to attack anybody. I'm not trying to make it out to like I'm right and they're wrong and they have to follow my way. That's not what I mean. So if it comes off that way, I'm not gonna apologize, but that's definitely not what I mean. I wish Topaz would shut up while I'm talking, but you lose a lot not having to sit. This conversation or this particular topic goes into every single character. Now you get into the Eidolon. I personally have E1. Why do I have E1? I think E1S1 Topaz is the perfect version of this character. I think I can't ask for more, and I would not want any less. This gives me another debuff, which now I can run Ratio with Topaz, and I get 100%. I get all my debuffs. I don't need another character on the team to give me debuffs. And because they're both hunt characters, I can work on one unit at one time or one main enemy at one time. I can split them up. They can both take care of things, all kinds of stuff. I get an extra 50% crit damage on top of the other 50% crit damage that we just went through in her kit with the light cone. Now that's basically 100% extra crit damage on whatever enemy I'm striking across. I love it. This is great. It seems like, to some people, this might seem like it's not really a lot, right? This is kind of a sub DPS's version of a May E1. right? Something of that caliber. It's not as strong as May's E1. I don't want that to be the message that's taken across here. What I'm saying is, having certain Eidolons on characters, it's okay to pull for them. If you have the means of acquiring it, absolutely, it's okay to pull for them. Now, coming back to the full swing in the beginning of what we talked about, and we say this all the time, I say this all the time, where I tell you guys about team comps, the direction, the newer, it's not really new, but the direction that the game is going in terms of building out full teams, dedicated teams, teams that have a unified purpose versus buffing the shit out of one character with anybody. And that's something that I notice people take what I say and then remove all the context behind it. Nowhere am I saying that Acheron being or not being hypercarry means that hypercarry is all of a sudden going away. What it means is, if I put Acheron on a team with Swan, Silver, and Aventurine, each one of these three characters perform something in their own kit, their own right, to make Acheron that much better. Versus if I were to remove Swan and then put Kafka on the team, this team is no longer operating the same way that it was operating with Swan on the team. I play it differently. If I take Silver out and I put Pela, or I put Swan back on the team, it operates differently. So going over that fact and explaining this, we go back to Topaz. Do I have a Topaz team locked down? I kind of do, I kind of don't. Let's take this one though. So now I go back over here, right? Clara is AoE, which means everybody's getting blasted. Clara boosts her own damage just from her own kit. And because she's a standard character, 9 times out of 10, you probably got cucked like me and you have Eidolons on your Clara or your Himiko, right? Whatever the case. I have an E2 Clara. I don't use her. I want to, but I got that, all right? Clara's kit kind of raw. This a nasty little kit right here, okay? Having Clara's signature light cone, if you happen to have it, awesome. I personally do not. Oh, wait, I lied. Ha 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 ha. Cucked. Getting cucked by 7525 is crazy. I do have it. I also have this one, Brighter Than the Sun. I didn't pull this. You guys know I don't like the way Daniel plays in the game. I love the character. I don't like his play style. I got this off a random single. It just happened. I'm not complaining about it. All right, listen, we have that. Anyhow, all of your light cones do something different. But in Clara's case, let's just say that I had her regular light cone. Increases her attack naturally, and then whenever she defeats an enemy or is hit, she immediately restores some HP. This creates the tank vibe or the tank aspect of the character. And then she also increases the damage that she's doing until the end of her next turn. That's important because Clara has nothing but counters. You punch Clara, you touch Clara, Sphera comes out, repulsor blast, repulsor blast, repulsor blast, and the enemy goes away. Bye-bye enemy, Clara is protected. We protect Princess Clara at all costs, okay? That's the way that this team functions. Now, how do I build on this team? Lynx is here to provide aggro to Clara, right? The taunt value, the aggro. She gives Clara the taunt, i.e. the tank, and then Clara takes the hits. Yukong is here. This is a little tricky. I don't like Yukong, but I'm starting to like her a little bit more. The more I play with her, the more I fuck around with her. Yukong is here to act as your harmony unit. The reason I don't need May on the team, although May would be very beneficial, the reason I don't need Sparkle or Brawny on the team is because Clara's job is not to be advanced forward 47 times to use her skill or basic attack. Clara's job is to get hit so that I can use Repulsor Blast and the enemy goes bye-bye as quickly as possible. Therefore, you speed tune whatever it is so that Yukong is going to pop off her skill, pop her ultimate. Clara gets a massive boost because Yukong gives one of the biggest boosts in the game for both attack and crit values. And Clara just destroys whatever's in her face. Topaz is here because of E1S1 or E0S1, increasing that damage even further by using it on follow-up attacks and the crit damage value applied to the big boss enemy. And yeah, you can use March with Clara instead of Lynx. You could absolutely do that. She has options here, yeah? Because of March's kit, and March is also free. 9 times out of 10, you have Healer March, which is going to be E6 March. March and Clara work great together. Topaz helps us out tremendously. And because March has follow-up attacks, guess what? Follow-up attack triggers along with Clara. So when Clara gets hit, and then March does her little follow-up attack and counter, boom, that's 2 follow-up attacks. Guess whose passive kicks in? Numby. Guess what Numby gets to do? Spinball. It is what it is. Now, imagine if all of this were to happen while Yukong had the buff up. And because neither of them have taken a turn, since it's still the enemy's turn, they all keep Yukong's buff. For as long as the enemies are pummeling down on Clara, they all keep her buff. All of this is what I'm talking about when I say, if you are looking at playing the game at optimally competitive, I'm gonna make up a term here, okay? Because you can play the game optimally and still be casual, have a ton of fucking fun. If you're trying to build into the account and invest really good into your game, really good into your account, so that when you play a team, it does exactly what you want it to do, and you don't have to like stress the fuck out. You look at characters, you look at what they have, and you look at what they can bring to the table for whatever you have on your account. The age-old question that is constantly being asked, E1 or S1. Me personally, I normally say both, but I know that's super expensive or super lucky, so I really don't recommend that in my guides. I always look at what's more valuable. In Topaz's case, I believe S1 is more valuable than E1. But if you have Topaz from her first run, and you also have the light cone, or don't, now it's a little easier for you to get E1, right? Or now it's a little easier for you to get S1. May, I'll use May because May's right here. E1 or S1. In May's case, I would probably say the E1. But yeah, I would say E1 over S1 when it comes to May. Why would I say that? Because May's E1 is stupid. It benefits all. It's dumb. You can sacrifice not having her light cone, give her memories of the past. You can give her dance. You can give her, I guess, planetary rendezvous if you're going to run her with Jingli Yu or Yangqing or Misha. You can run her with one of the random Bronya light cones you may or may not have gotten. You can run her with Carve the Moon, Weave the Clouds. You can do a lot of things with May not having her signature light cone versus you cannot randomly make this up. You can't just make up an extra 20% defense reduction on the entire board. Everyone. It's not like one enemy. This is May pops. Oh, everybody has this. It's a problem. But broken, if you will. Acheron. You see, I haven't even activated my E1 yet. Why? Because E1 is a luxury. This is a luxury Alon. So everyone who went balls to the wall crazy getting E2 S1 Acheron, I promise you it wasn't necessary. It's just they were doing it solely for the fact that we love Acheron, right? I didn't do it because I don't have money like that, and I got cucked. But whatever. Point being is that's why they did it. You don't need it. E6 ruins the game. This is amazing. I love E6 Acheron. I think it ruins the game, so I didn't pull for anywhere near that, right? I would always say, get her light cone. E0 S1, you're perfectly fine. I say that for a lot of characters. Kafka, E0 S1. I don't have Kafka Aeolons. Why? Because that light cone is too damn good to pass up. E2 S1 is broken. E2 S1 is not broken. E2 S1 allows, how do I word this without sounding like I'm attacking? E2 S1 Acheron allows players who don't want to adapt to the changes that are very obvious in the game. It allows them to continue playing the game they want to play. E2, you don't need the extra, what do we call it? The flower, right? You don't need it. You just don't. You build the team correctly, you don't need it. It's not broken because the ability is broken. It's broken because now players don't have to use double Nihility characters. Now they can use Ruanmei, Sparkle, Silver, and Acheron. You're telling me that if I pull E2 Acheron, I can reduce the thought process, the brain waves that I emit to play the game? Oh yeah, say less. How much does that cost? How much does it cost for me to play with no brain? It's gonna cost you about $679. Here you go. Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I'm turning my brain off right now. That is what E2 does. If you notice, minus the voice actors and actresses, people that have E2 Acheron or higher, what are they doing with Acheron? turn the game on, press auto, I'm done. I'm gonna go make a sandwich. Man, MLC so hard. Not for me, bro. I leave it on auto. I zero cycle on auto. It's cool. This is in no way, shape, or form equivalent to an E2 Acheron. Raiden Shogun E2 or C2, this is beyond Mei levels. This is dirty work. This is nasty behavior. Okay? E2 Acheron wishes she had a 60% defense ignore. We can't compare these two. We can't do that. We can't do that because no. Who said this? Which one of y'all said this? I'm not attacking. I just want to know. I just want to talk. I just want to talk. But for real, who said this? The Raiden Shogun's attacks ignore 60% of the opponent's defense. Let me just let me read. Maybe I'm tripping. E2 Acheron. The number of Nihility characters required for the trace, the Abyss, to achieve its highest possible effect is reduced by 1, therefore taking it down from 2 to 1. When this unit's turn starts, gains one point of Slash Dream and inflicts 1 stack of Crimson Knot on the enemy with the most Crimson Knot stacks. This is exactly what I said it was. This is basically creating comfortability, mega lazy mode for playing Acheron. That's all it is. And I feel like there should be nothing wrong with me saying that it makes the character lazy to play. The reason I say that is because if I were to build the team that everybody and their mama wants to build with Acheron, which is Acheron, where's she at? Sparkle, Silver, and then get no sustain, right? Because you don't need it anymore. You have E2, you don't need it anymore. There's no reason for you to have that. Mei. This is what people want to run. When you see E2 Acheron havers, this is what they want to run. They or instead of Silver, they want a Pela. Because they're free to play friendly, by the way. Okay, CB. That's what I was mentioning earlier. The extra stack does not change how she plays the game. It makes it so that you're making up for not having the other Nihility character. If you had 2 Nihility characters, you would still stack up your stacks the same exact way. When you have E2 and she just gets 1 for free at the start of her turn, now you don't have to play the Nihility game. You just, hey, it's my turn. All right, I got a stack. I'm gonna do my skill now, and I have S1. Okay, so I get 3 skills, or I get 3 stacks per my turn, right? Cool beans. I'm finished with my turn, by the way. Pela goes, oh, she did something? That's another stack. Now we're at 4. Woohoo! All right, hold on. Wait. Sparkle says it's my turn again. Let me stand aside, enemy. It's my turn, not your turn. Do my skill. That's 3 again. Hey, bro. We are now at 7. Congratulations, me. I got 7 points just by doing 2 actions. Awesome. You still have to wait for Pela to then give you the other 2 stacks to get 9. The way that you are physically playing Acheron, the game plan isn't changing. E2 does not dramatically change the character to the point where you are playing differently. It creates comfortability so that players who are already investing into Mei, Sparkle, Bronya, Pela, Tingyun can now use that on the Acheron team. That's all it is. It only speeds up how often she gets her ultimate when you still play her with the Nihility characters. But that's not what most E2 Acheron players are doing. This is what the thing that I'm pointing out is that they're not doing that. If an E2 Acheron player turned around and did some shit like this, let's say I don't use Mei, right? Let's say I don't use Mei and I have Silver on the team. If an E2 Acheron player did this, then we can talk about having a way higher damage output. The speed at which you're getting your ultimate is crazy fast because now I'm playing Windset Pela. Now my Silver has over 145 speed and can contribute the break damage. In fact, with this particular build, I can use Silver to break the enemy, and if Acheron doesn't kill them, Silver's entanglement pop will kill them. I can use Sparkle to advance Silver and Acheron forward together because sometimes Acheron just doesn't need to take her turn. Sometimes I need the weakness implant over Acheron doing her skill so that I can still receive my ultimate in the same fashion. The main point being is that when you play her the way she wants to be played, you don't have this issue. When I play Acheron, and I've shown you guys this in every single Acheron video that I've put out, I'm getting 2 to 3 ultimates per cycle. No matter what team, I'm gonna say no matter what team I'm playing. The majority of teams that I play, I'm getting 2 to 3 ultimates per cycle. 4 stars or 5 stars, doesn't matter. When I play Acheron, I'm getting 2 to 3 ultimates per cycle because of the way that I play the team, the way that I've orchestrated that team.
Yeah.
Adding E2 to this team, or to the way that I play, I'm getting 3.5 per cycle now. Like, they're dead. They're dead. I don't need any more ultimates in the ideal scenario. Now, obviously, versus somebody like Sam or Aventurine, hell yeah, I want another ultimate. Absolutely. That would be very beneficial to me. Would I sacrifice my wallet to be able to do that? No. I don't want people to take the brain rot comment that I said that you guys said. I'm not taking the fall for that. I don't want people to take the brain rot comment as something like what you guys told me, saying brain rot means somebody's dumb. That's not what I want to push out there. That's not the agenda that I want to push out, the message that I want to put out. What I'm saying is that pulling E2 Acheron for Acheron in the entire conversation that we're having right now is vertical investment. Which Eidolons are worth it? What S1s are worth it? Whether or not I would recommend somebody getting E1 S1 over nothing, or like E1 over like 3 different characters, whatever the case may be, stuff like that. In Acheron's case, I personally think that E2 Acheron is a complete waste. There's no valid reason that anybody has been able to convince me why you need E2 Acheron besides the lazy or comfortability factor, which kind of falls under laziness, but whatever. And I'm by no means am I saying like anyone that has E2 is like f***ing lazy or something like that. No, because I would pull E2 if I had the money for it, because I love Acheron. And I understand a lot of other people do the same thing because they love Acheron. I love Raiden in every universe. So I don't bash anybody for spending their money how they do it. Rihu 100% lazy. Rihu 100% lazy. You don't even use E2 Acheron. That's the worst part about it. Like, you literally just did it because you love Raiden. That's all it was. You could have stopped. You didn't have to keep going. You chose to. You don't even use E2. That's all I wanted to get across regarding this. I guess in comparison, right? Let me look at something that's a little bit more comparable to a better Eidolon, if you will, or something that drastically changes a character. Dill Pickle. E0 Dill Pickle versus E2. Whole different character. If we're comparing Eidolons, like, right? Like, this is why I say E2 Acheron is not a game changer. It just makes you play the game in the way that you like playing it, right? I want to put 9 Harmony units on the team because, again, we can't omit this was the reason that a majority of players did not like Acheron when her kit was revealed, because they could not play with Sparkle, Bronya, May, and whoever else they wanted. They wanted to be able to continue using the hypercarry teams that they've built for the other 9 DPS characters they have, so that they could use Acheron without having to build a new team. That's one of the largest reasons people were complaining about Acheron. The majority of E2 players did not pull E2 because they need it. They pulled it so they don't have to build a new team, build more characters, and they can continue to play the same 5 characters with the same 20 different DPSs. That's why they did that. And that's the reason why they were saying you need her light cone, because it made it easier for them to not have to do any more work for whatever's going on. E2 Daniel, after using his ultimate, Dawn Hung, action advanced forward by 100% and gains an extra, we're not going to call that Squama Sacred Sada. It's another token, right? He gains another token. E1 Daniel increases his righteous heart count by 4 and gains 1 extra stack of righteous heart for each hit during an attack, therefore increasing the damage output that he is able to achieve. Now, when you play a character like E2 Daniel with, ideally you're playing him with Ting Yun, and she's giving you all this energy every 2 to 3 turns, you can absolutely bet your bottom dollar E2 Daniel is blowing up the board. Every single attack, he's blowing somebody up. This changes this character. I cannot say the same thing for Acheron. Even with Jing Liu. Jing Liu, I think E1, right? E1 Jing Liu, we just got that last couple streams ago. This converts all of her damage that would have been wasted on the adjacent enemies and smashes it all into one enemy, turning her from an adjacent blast damage type of character and limited by that to I'm both blast and single target. This is a crazy buff for a Jing Liu player. Like, having E1 is a crazy buff for a Jing Liu player on top of her light cone. This is really big. The game overall, I don't want to say it encourages you to do these things, right? To pull Eidolons, to pull light cones, things like that. But when you look at this from the point that it is, the standpoint of the game, the direction, the meta, whatever you want to call it, when you look at it for what it is, how the game is evolving, how the enemies have been getting buffed, things like that, it's much more resourceful to invest in 1 or 2 or 3 teams tops. Even from if you were playing from the start of the game, right? It's much more resourceful for you to invest into 2, 3 teams to dominate every single thing in the game. As many things until you cannot do it anymore. When my Zila team is maxed, they're good, they're done, I can move on to the 3rd team. That's how I'm looking at this, right? When my Jing Liu team is maxed, she's good, she's at the top of her ceiling, she's done, I can move on to a 3rd team. And I'm not saying like if you just I hate playing, Daniel. I pull Daniel because he's strong and I don't like Daniel's gameplay. I want a new DPS. That's totally different. I'm not saying stuff like that at all. And I'm also not saying that don't pull characters that you want or like because you like the character. What I'm saying is investing, because this isn't Pokemon. I can't go collect the resources whenever I want to, right? I'm time gated. I'm gated daily on my stamina, my Trailblazer power. I don't have all the time in the world to build every single character, and they sure as don't give you enough resources to build every single character. It takes free-to-play players, it takes you guys, roughly speaking, about a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks to build a character from level 1 to level 80. Light Cone, level 1 to level 80. Traces, minimum 888, maybe 10. And none of that includes the relic grinding, by the way. So it takes you 1 to 2 weeks just to build a character. You're gonna sit here and tell me that it's a smart idea to collect characters that you can't build in a timely fashion? That makes no sense. When you could just grab the 1 or 2 main characters that you use, the DPS characters, and then over time or in that moment in time, get the Eidolon or the Light Cone. A lot of players. Oh man, I want who's on the banner right now? Freaking I want Jing Liu. Guys, I want Jing Liu. Should I pull Jing Liu's Light Cone? Is she gonna be a main DPS character? Is that the second coming of Jesus for your account? Well, yeah, I don't have another DPS character, and I feel like Jing Liu is better. Why the f wouldn't you pull her Light Cone then? Oh, well, because I want Robin too. What are you doing? Do you have Bronya? Yeah, I have Bronya, Sparkle, Ruan Mei, and Jing Liu now. The f do you need Robin for? Well, because she's the most broken Harmony character in the game, right? You don't need everything. That's brain rot. That's brain rot. The casual or free-to-play audience needing everything. They want everything. You can't do that in Star Rail unless your luck is 100%. You're rolling a dice and you get it every single time. You can't do that in Star Rail without feeling the consequences. There's so many players, even some of us creators, have the same issue where we simply don't have enough time or resources. We got shafted on RNG and we cannot build the characters. You guys see some of the stuff that I have in my account, bro. I can't build things. Perfect example, my Zila. To a free-to-play player, right, who has invested everything in a Zila, they're gonna look at my Zila like, ah, man, your Zila's kind of ass, bro. You don't have 80% crit rate. You don't got 4K attack. You don't got 2% crit damage. Yeah, you not a real Zila main, bro. You're dog. This is a trash Zila, man. You need to go ahead and delete the account, sell the account right now. That's what they see. But to someone who's a little bit more casual and they've invested in 20 different characters, oh, well, you know, Eozila's pretty okay. I think it's pretty strong. The game don't. The game don't think it's strong. You see what I'm saying? Because once I was done playing with Zila, I moved on. And now I'm coming back. And again, that goes into my whole like deep dive about the character, but whatever. Point being, overall, because I want to end the video. Chronic, I hope I answered your question. I know this was a 40-minute answer. That's why I gave you the answer immediately at the beginning. I felt something in my bones. Felt like this was going to be a long video. Guys, thank y'all for hanging out with me today in today's YouTube video. I want to let everybody know it's a work in progress. Vertically investing into your account, grabbing Eidolons, especially light cones. I don't want to stress Eidolons as much as I do light cones. I still am pushing that. Light cones in this game are very important. There's zero reason that people should be telling you guys don't pull light cones. It's not, this is not Genshin. I can't go fish up the best light cone in the game or whatever the case may be. We barely get events. If I'm not mistaken, we've only had 2 events that have given us free light cones. Obviously 4-star light cones, both of which have not made a return. Maybe not. No, subscribe for more is there, right? Subscribe for more is there. We've had 4 events, 4 different light cones. Okay, so apparently Goldshot says we've had 4 different light cones, 4 different light cone events within one year span of time. The one that matters the most before the tutorial mission starts has still not made a comeback, and I don't think it will. I'd be very shocked if it does make a comeback. Has not made a comeback. That in mind, it's very clear, if you are not grabbing light cones when they're here, when you have the best chance of getting that light cone, it'll be very hard for you to get that. That's going to be it, though. Thank y'all for watching today's video. I can't say my usual outro because it's inappropriate for YouTube. Like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Smell you later.